Hello everyone. I recently showed off my 2012 vinyl re-release of the White Album, and I wanted to show you all of the other Beatle records that I owned. So starting off with Meet the Beatles. Now this is a reprint, but it's an early reprint. Now next to the RIAA logo on the corner here, you're going to get a number. If it's a number before, I think the number 6, that it's an original. This one is a number 9. Yeah, number 9. And I believe it's a late or mid 60s reprint. As you can see, it has a sleeve that advertises other albums that were out at the time, including some Beatle albums such as Beatles 65 and the early Beatles, which came out in late 1965 in the US. And some other records here. So this is a cool find. I got it for less than $10. And yeah, another way you can tell that this is an early pressing is that the picture itself is pasted on the record. You can see the seam there and up here, as opposed to the picture itself being printed on the sleeve. On the back it's printed on the sleeve, but the front is pasted on. Next up is the Beatles' second album, called the Beatles' second album. You can see this one is pasted here. And this is actually an original copy. And yeah, this is the number 3. It was printed in Scranton, Pennsylvania, which I don't even think exists anymore. Here's the inner sleeve itself, also advertising other Capitol releases at the time. And it also has a cautionary thing there about your record needle. So there's that. Some cool songs on here. I'll just, so you can see what they are. And this is an American record. As everyone knows, I don't know if everyone knows it, but the Beatles' second record in the UK was with the Beatles, which has the same album cover as Meet the Beatles. Well, this one has a blue hue as opposed to the black and white, but it's the same thing. Okay, next up, an American Rubber Soul. Now this is an original as well, and as you can see, this too has the pasted on album cover, and most people these days are familiar with the track listing for the original British version of this, and you can see that the American version has a slightly different track listing. It actually has some songs from Help, such as I've Just Seen a Face and It's Only Love. This too has the sleeve that advertises for other Capitol releases at the time, including some. This is actually very similar to the one that came with the Beatles. So you got your Beatles 65, early Beatles, a couple of Beach Boys records there, right here. Yeah, some Sinatra. But yeah, this is a cool album. It's kind of weird to hear some Help songs on here, and I don't think Drive My Car is on here. And a couple other songs are missing. This only has, I think, 11 or 12 songs as opposed to the 14-track original. I think it has Nowhere Man. It doesn't. That's a shame. Okay, this is an interesting one. This is Revolver. This is neither a Capitol nor is it a Parlophone release. It's actually an Odeon release, which is believe a Spanish distributor. Yeah, it might be Spanish. It could be Italian, I don't know. I'm actually Hispanic, I don't speak any Spanish. But, the really cool thing about this is a reprint, by the way. It's fairly new. I bought this new. But the cool thing about this record is, firstly, the label is completely different than something you would normally see around here. And also, the vinyl itself is orange. Really cool. And another cool thing about this record is that it is a mono version of the album, which is pretty different from the stereo version that we're all used to these days. There. Okay. Let's see what's next. Next up, Sgt Pepper. Now, this is a 70s version of the record. It has the gatefold. Awesome picture in the middle there. It says stereo on the top. The back here says capital EMI. Some of the later ones also had the Apple Records logo on it. But the funny thing is about this version that I have here is that the record has the Apple logo. Now, as you can see, this is a plain white sleeve. It originally came with a psychedelic kind of pink and purple sleeve, which is really cool. I actually found one, but it didn't come with the cutouts, so I opted to get one that came with the cutouts. So these are the cutouts. Free giveaway with Sgt Pepper when it first came out. And there's an actual picture of Sgt Pepper. The Beatles, of course, the famous drum. Another picture of Pepper, some insignias, and a mustache, which I'm guessing clips to the inside of your nose with this, which is kind of odd. But yep, cutouts, pretty awesome. And this is pretty cool too. I like that it has the Apple logo. Next up, I showed this off yesterday in my last video, so I'm not going to get too into it, but this is the White Album. Embossed, glossy, re-released. I listened to it, sounds amazing. Moving on. And I showed this off as well. This is my 1980s version of the White Album. Kind of put the poster back, but yep. It was pretty awesome up until I got the new one. Now, here are my 45s. My favorite one being, of course, probably the greatest single of all time, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane. And here is, I never understood why they never reused this photo. This is an awesome photo of the Beatles. On the back, Strawberry Fields, Penny Lane. You got a picture of, I know this is John. That might be Ringo. This kind of looks like George. I'm guessing that's Paul. Now, the original concept for the Sgt. Pepper album, this is before it was called Sgt. Pepper, was that it was going to be kind of a reflection on their childhood and all that kind of stuff. So, here's the actual 45. I think this is an original. I don't really know too much about 45s, but it does have the swirl that was used in the 60s. And it's in pretty good shape. I mean, the sleeve itself is a little frayed there, but you know, back in the day when people bought singles, they would just throw away the sleeve and put the single on like a spool. So it's kind of rare to find a 45 that has the sleeve on it. Next up, I know this is a reproduction because it has a purple logo on it, but this is Am The Walrus. And Hello Goodbye. So this is awesome. Really not too much to show here, but there's the record. And yeah, this is cool. This is, I believe, in mono, and the mono version of I'm the Walrus has a few different things there. And Hello Goodbye sounds pretty much the same, except for it's in mono. Next up, another one with a sleeve. This is Nowhere Man, What Goes On. Cool picture, the Beatles. This is actually from the Beatles for sale. And here is the vinyl itself with the swirl. Pretty cool. Great songs too. This is also in mono. I'm pretty sure all of the singles they put out were in mono up until stereo became a standard, which was around the time that Abbey Road came out. Here's another one. This is Help. This is a reprint, I think, from the 70s. The Capitol logo on here is what they used during the 70s. And it also says that it's from the major motion picture Help, which I don't think at the time it was called Help. Eight Arms to Hold You. Though I may be wrong about that. Maybe they had picked the name by the time the single came out, but yep. There's Help. The mono version of Help has a completely different vocals by John. It's like a completely different take. And I think the stereo one sounds better, but it's interesting to hear this one too. And of course, it still sounds great. And my last 45 here is Ticket to Ride with Yes It Is on the other side. This, I believe, is an original one because it does have the swirl, and it does say from the United Artists picture, 8 Arms to Hold You. Let me see if I get the focus here. Yep, there it is. And there's the swirl that they used in the 60s. And, you know, these are all Capitol, none of them are Parlophone. So yeah, those are all my Beatle records. I would like to get more, but they're kind of hard to come by. Well, original copies, that is. I mean, they're pretty easy now because they just re-released all the record albums on vinyl, excuse me. Sometime soon I'm going to go through all my records that I own, just to show you guys. I have a ton right there, some more right there, and also some right here. So I'll go through all of them. It'll be fun. At least for me. I don't know if anyone will watch this, but thanks a lot.